everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I'm the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we've got Laney School Tree TV. Wah, 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 wah. Oh man, I'm so happy you're here. This is going to be great. So basically, if you've never been to a Wiki Wednesday before, essentially what we do is get 15 things from the streamer that they like, 5 things that they don't. I find it that most streamers have a harder time with the likes than the dislikes, which is very interesting to me. And then we go through the Wikipedia rabbit hole, looking up some stuff, having conversations about the streamer. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, Lainey.
Hello.
So you had a lot of interesting stuff on your likes list, but the one that I found that I didn't know what it was Vaporwave.
Oh, wow.
So explain to me why you put Vaporwave on your list, and we'll learn a little something.
So I don't remember exactly how I came upon Vaporwave. It was probably like 2014, and by that time it was like old news.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just kind of looking for new and different to me music, and I found an album called Floral Shop, which is considered like one of the greatest albums of the genre, defining album maybe, and it just sort of blew my mind. It's sort of strange because it's almost like sampled music in that it's taking mostly, I mean, that album in particular is taking music from maybe the 80s and 90s probably,
Okay.
and slowing it down and chopping it up and doing stuff to it. So it has this sort of nostalgia quality, but it also sounds like weird and out of time and new. So it's very evocative and sort of takes you to this liminal space
Interesting.
that I found really like cool.
Yeah,
So, and then
so
I got into
why
it.
is it an internet meme? Do you know? It says a visual art style and an internet meme that emerged in the early 2010s, known in 2015.
I think I mean, if you were to do an image search, I don't know if you can expand beyond Wikipedia, but if you were to do an image search for just vaporwave, the stuff that would come up might be recognizable to you. Like, oh, I've seen this come up in other modalities or other I don't know, maybe you've seen the visual aesthetic
All right, let's see
elsewhere.
without getting, hopefully, images. Okay. Yeah.
So the visual aesthetic is sort of it's got this 80s sort of synthwave neon thing going on, and then it has, you see the statues, the sort of Roman imagery, and a lot of the time there's a checkerboard floor and palm
Yes.
trees.
Okay.
And these are elements you see, but then the art can be more interesting than that. There's sort of a very basic version of it, and then there's all different subgenres and offshoots, and
Interesting. Yeah.
it's it's a thing. It's not. I wouldn't compare it to progressive rock, um, but it's its own thing, and it's very interesting. And I just sort of have been into it ever since, and I still like it, and it influences my visual style on my stream.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of it I've seen on your stream before, as far as like when you have multiple colors going on, and it's very. I don't know if I've seen the checkerboard floor. Do you have that?
I did have that in the earlier days. Yeah, before I went to space, when I was still on Earth.
Okay. Okay. And hey Jack and hey Rocket.
Hey guys.
um so okay, let's stop right there for a minute. Tell me about your stream and your stream style and why you chose it to be your style, cuz I feel like there's that piece missing, that we went into vaporwave, but I should have stopped and said, "Hey, what about you?" So, tell me about your your style and why you do the way you do.
Wow, why? That's I'm
Okay,
well,
what
I
you
don't
do
know
the way you
why.
do. I don't.
um Yeah. I mean, like the current look of the stream sort of evolved over time. Like it started out very different looking, and
Mhm.
then when I eventually ended up in space, I slowly, week by week, started building this whole world around it, and I wanted it to have like this cohesive aesthetic throughout all the places that I go and on my spaceship. So I do a lot of like collecting of visual elements, putting them together. I do a lot of color grading to make everything like fit together and have like a particular palette. Like as you can see behind me, like pink and teal are the basic colors, and then there's like stuff beyond that, which is it's very vaporwave.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I have a certain like some colors they like taste good to my eyes. It's sort of like sounds.
Yeah. So do you have a form of synesthesia in that aspect, do you feel like? Or just
I don't
like,
think so.
okay, it's just pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, it's just sort of like I have a particular like set of things that like appeal. They like look good. I like long to see them, and so like
Yeah.
I just yeah.
I think they look good too. I mean, from what I've seen, I think everything that you've done visually is just as great as what you're doing vocally and with
Oh,
looping and stuff. I think it all very much fits together. So,
thank you.
yeah, of course. So let's go more into. We're talking about vaporwave. We're talking about interesting. So it's defined partly by slowed down, chopped and screwed sample of smooth jazz, elevator music, R&B, and lounge
Mm-hmm.
music.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting to me. So, okay, you probably didn't hear my opening, but it might have been in this type. I don't know. I doubt it would be in this category, but it sounds like elevator music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Is it
It's
like
exactly what you think of.
that stuff like the no, I doubt this is it. What is that called? Boss
Oh, Girl from Ipanema?
yeah, yeah.
Not so much Girl from Ipanema, but more like I'm trying to think of a classic example. And I can't think of one. Well, one of the most famous songs on Floral Shop is a song from Pages called "You Need a Hero,"
Okay.
um, which is actually it's not as mainstream as some of the other stuff. It's like music you would have heard in a mall
Got it.
in the 80s, 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I've definitely been in malls all throughout the 90s, so I think
yeah,
I know exactly what that sounds like.
smooth music, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
smooth.
yeah. And so what you're keep saying, is it floral or what are you?
Floral. Yeah.
FLOR.
AL shop SHOPPE.
Got it. By Macintosh Plus.
There it
Okay.
is.
Whoa, whoa.
Wikipedia is not for sale.
Whoa. I don't know what that's about. Okay, yeah, and there's that picture of that we were talking about.
That
Um,
album is amazing. Like
yeah,
when I first listened to it, I was like, "What is this crap?" And that's how I know that something might actually be like a new thing that I might like eventually. Is I dislike it at first.
that makes
It
sense.
bothers me at first.
Irritates the back of your brain and then suddenly becomes tangible.
Yeah,
Um,
Vectroid actually streams on Twitch. Um
Interesting.
yeah, and I it's a really neat stream. I recommend it. It's good.
So, oh my gosh, what is with this pop-ups of like we'll donate $3? Wikipedia.
They know you're up to something.
Clearly, I've never had these pop-ups before. Um, okay, so Vectroid's Bandcamp music store in 2011. I didn't even know Bandcamp went back that far.
What? Yeah, Bandcamp's been around for a
Ever?
good long time.
Yeah. I guess
What's
I've
up,
only been
Bismore?
introduced. Hey, Bismore. I guess I've only been introduced to Bandcamp because of music streamers on Twitch.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it's the platform of the people, I guess.
okay, I like that. So polarizing reception from critics and casual listeners alike criticize and acclaims soulless take on Muzak. Interesting.
It's funny because it's like soulfully soulless is the thing. Like it's I don't know. It's soundtrack to your life stuff, but only if you're in, only for like liminal spaces of life. Like I don't know. It's I find it very powerful, but that could just be me.
Do you know Muzak? Muzak is an American band of background music played in retail stores and other public establishments since 1934.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's kind of functional music, the music that is inoffensively playing in the background while you're supposed to be buying shit.
That's
I'm sorry,
crazy.
is
No,
it
you can say
swearing?
shit. You're good. You're
Okay.
good. As long as you don't get like
Yes.
crazy, but yeah, we
All
can
right.
totally
I
say
won't get
shit.
crazy,
Yeah.
but just pepper it in
Yeah.
very conservatively.
And that way I can change it to the 18 plus on the front of it. I have no problem doing that if we start to get spicy.
I wasn't planning on going topless or anything.
Okay,
So.
good. Yeah. And I don't know, when we start to talk about ukuleles, I might have to change that to 18 plus.
It might get frothy.
Oh, I hate that word. Oh god. I love it. Okay. So vaporwave. So we it's something that inspires you, I assume, to do what you do and the sound that you like to produce. Yes.
It doesn't inspire my musical aesthetic very much,
Okay.
or I haven't really like utilized it that much. I actually, well, that's not completely true. Like the so there's a theme song that starts every stream for LST TV, and then at the end there's a credits. The credits song is just the theme song slowed down, vaporwave style.
Okay. I really need to stop with this Wikipedia pop up crap. Okay. Um so we got vaporwave and then you put progressive rock.
Yeah.
I love how I put in prog rock and it's like, you mean progressive rock, right?
Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
God.
Yeah, I probably should have
No, I put
used
in
the
prog
full word.
rock and it put in progressive rock.
Oh, yeah.
You typed it out, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
But okay, so tell me about progressive rock for you and why it made your list.
Hmm. I guess it's pretty much the opposite of vaporwave. And that vaporwave on the surface is just taking music somebody already made that wasn't that good to begin with and slowing it down and like messing it up a little bit. Whereas progressive rock is like, the closest thing in rock music to classical in terms of its complexity. Mm-hmm. And so when I guess I discovered it like officially in my 20s, when I was making music that was already like kind of had some of these qualities of progressive rock. So I was kind of getting into writing rock music. I went to school, studied classically, then I started doing music comedy and like getting into rock music a little bit, writing kind of these complex art songs. And somebody said to me, "You're writing progressive rock music. You should listen to some of it." And burned some CDs for me, including King Crimson, Court of the Crimson King, and a few Yes albums.
Yes.
Sorry, and
I didn't.
Yes,
that,
and
yes.
What else can you say?
Right.
And it blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my god, this is what I've wanted to exist all this time," and I didn't know it already existed for like many years before I was doing it, and it sort of just led me down a path of getting like really obsessed with particularly prog rock from the 70s, late 70s. I'm getting into Yes and early Genesis and even like mid Genesis and like honestly even some Phil Collins Genesis is pretty good.
Yes.
But yeah, Peter Gabriel era Genesis, some of the best stuff. And Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, it wasn't really like it wasn't specifically inspiration for the rock opera that I wrote, but it was sort of like it was out there as a reference when I was writing it. So
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always said if there was a band that I missed out on ever seeing in concert, it was Genesis. Because I just saw Kansas in Kansas City. It's where I'm living.
Kansas and Kansas?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It was an incredible show. He had like 8th row seats and
wow.
It was just phenomenal. And it was crazy because they only had one active original band member. And I was
Oh my
thinking,
God.
like, they've been doing the 50th year reunion. And they have one original band member.
At what point does it become a cover band?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and one of the guys even admitted, he's like, when I was doing a cover band for Kansas and blah blah blah, and I was like, but it was phenomenal. And so Yes is another. Yes, Styx,
Hmm.
Genesis, all of that. I grew up on that music. So if you said it led to your rock opera, right? Or no,
Yeah,
Genesis.
well, it made me form my band, School Tree, and that's, kind of what I aimed to do, was to sort of do a modern version of the 70s prog rock that I loved.
And so tell me about this. Tell me about School Tree.
Yeah, so it's a band I started in 2010, 2011. After many years, I guess probably like 6 or 7 years of doing like comedy work with the Simi Bohemians, and kind of like striking out on my own to do a solo thing. So I, talked some of my musician friends into playing some of my songs, and it sort of evolved over the next decade into what it was right before the pandemic hit.
Okay. And so did you develop a lot of this stuff? You said right before the pandemic hit. So that did you stop then, or did you start making stuff differently? Um, as
Yeah,
far
I
as
stopped.
okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please cut me off at any point. This is your show. So, but yeah. So you said right before the pandemic. Is that when you joined Twitch, or did you always have a Twitch account?
No, had never even heard of Twitch until like a year into the pandemic, I guess, or like I didn't start streaming until like a year into the pandemic, because at first I was like, I can't live stream. I will never live stream. That's stupid, and I don't want to do it. Whereas all of my performing friends were like already doing it.
Right.
And then I saw Ben Levin, actually, which I don't know if anybody here will. Jack probably knows who he is. Former member of Bent Knee, the band Bent Knee, great band, highly recommended. Was streaming, and he still streams sometimes, but his stream was really like really fun, really inspiring, and sort of like he's a brilliant musician who's also pretty funny, and also has a little bit of a vaporwave sort of aesthetic sometimes. Jack doesn't know any people. All right, noted, Jack. I will never imply that you know anyone ever again. But anyway, I was hanging out in Ben's stream, and I really liked it, and I got like, I got really into it, like you do with a streamer you like. I didn't want to miss a minute. And so I was hanging out in there, and I was sort of getting to know the culture of Twitch, and I was like, I'm really feeling this. And I was like, maybe I could do this. And then I spent like 2 months kind of learning about what it entails to stream, and kind of putting together ideas for my stream. And then I started and immediately liked it and stuck with it. But at first it was sort of like, oh, this is just like I'm getting sort of sidelined by the pandemic, so this is just a temporary replacement for performing live, which we
Right.
couldn't do. But then I ended up liking it more than gigging
Yeah, I
live.
mean,
So
you've got a lot of art behind it too. You can use the visuals, and the visuals go with your musical talent, and so you
mm,
can kind of, like you said, create your own world
yeah.
or universe, however you want to look at it.
Worlds. Yeah.
Worlds.
Yeah.
And hi, Psych
Absolutely.
Psycho. Welcome on in.
Like Psycho!
Um, aw. So, okay, so we've gotten to prog rock. I'm interested to see what you said. Yes, you said Genesis Land Lies Down on Broadway. I'm curious as to what others from the vault that
Mm.
maybe have inspired you, that might not be so mainstream but still helped develop your taste,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
yeah.
Todd Rundgren, who is arguably sort of prog sometimes, Wizard of True Star, I think of as a prog rock album. I was like totally obsessed with Todd Rundgren for a while and would listen to nothing but him. And he's one of those like, you know, singer-songwriters who's also a producer and used the entire studio as his instrument. And that's what I wanted to do, is just, he I'm not sure which albums, but I think there was at least one album where he played all the instruments and wrote everything and was, had a hand in the production. And that's part of why I went to school for audio engineering, is because I wanted to, integrate the production into the art. Like the production choices are as integral as the choices you're making in terms of musical notes.
Yeah, and that's great. So I don't hate me. I've not heard of this guy.
That's all right. He's not that well known. I was trying to pick some people that maybe people might not have heard of. Um, Another one is Kate Bush. And again, like arguably not that progressive necessarily. I think that she was. I mean, she was incredibly innovative and like just like wild out there artistic creative person. She really inspired me a lot. And another artist who used the studio as their instrument really masterminded their work.
So I'm going back to him for a minute. His 1973 album, A Wizard, a True Star, remains an influence on later generations of bedroom musicians.
Better yeah, well, because playing all the instruments yourself, I guess maybe is the idea behind that. That's funny. I've never heard that connection made before.
Okay, bedroom musicians is lo-fi.
Well, I wouldn't call that album lo-fi, Wikipedia. So shut up. I don't know. I'd have to.
Bedroom
I'd have
pop first emerged 21st century. The rise of the laptop computer. Since then, there have been increasing tendency to group all home recorded music under the umbrella of lo-fi.
I mean,
so
that needs an update.
Yeah.
Considering everything that changed in the last 4 years. But
recorded home rather than a traditional recording space. Yeah, that's true. I mean, everybody's trying to record at home at this point.
Yeah, that's just big music industry, big studio trying to maintain its dominance over the industry.
Okay, so going back, because I didn't understand what bedroom rock was. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2021. So he's clearly a big deal.
He is. Yeah, and his discography was intimidatingly vast.
Yeah, it looks like it. It has all the stuff over on the left here that you can't see, but early influences in Nazz. Do you know that word?
Nazz, yeah, that was the band he was in before his solo career. Also great. Really good stuff. Very 60s sounding.
Okay.
Yeah, but really, really good.
Okay.
I also listened to Nazz quite a lot.
Okay, so rock band formed in Philadelphia. The Nazz are blue, 68 to 69. Nazz and Nazz.
Yeah, they were really creative with the naming. They're like, I don't know, Nazz. I mean, one of Todd's most famous albums is called Something Anything, which I feel like somebody was just hassling him to name it, and he was like, oh, Something Anything.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah. In my imagination, that's what happened.
Recruited to finish Badfinger's third album straight up. Whoa, slow down, mouse. My mouse goes both up and down depending on what it wants to do. It has no control over the middle roller.
Rabid.
Yeah, and so, okay, so I want to know Something Anything. If they explain why it was named what it named. The use of Ritalin also helped him focus on the process. He worked up to 12 hours a day to beat 3-week deadline. He installed an 8-track recorder, mixer, and synthesizers into his living room so he could continue his recording after leaving the studio.
Yeah, I feel like there's some serious tweaker vibes on that album. And
that's fantastic. Well, great. So, okay, and then you said Kate Bush.
Yeah. Don't tell me you've never heard of Kate.
No, I have actually. That name.
I think Stranger Things made her pretty famous again.
Yes.
I mean, she was famous before, but yeah. Kate Bush, man, she's a mystical creature from the other realms. She's
she has a very interesting sound
Mm-hmm.
to her. And then she, greatest hits compilation, the whole story. Oh gosh, are they going off?
I'm reading chat. I don't know how
No,
much to
no,
interact, but
I
they're being
shouldn't not
hilarious.
read chat. I just know that Jacket over here is gonna be kicking up a storm.
Ship jacket.
Yep. Okay, so 4 weeks. So I know that she's been running up that road and running up that hill. A duet with Peter Gabriel. Oh, she did
Mm.
"Don't Give Up." Okay. The "Don't Give Up" that
Yeah,
song.
they always mention her
I
most boring work, but yeah,
I didn't
she
know
did that.
that. Because I know that song with Peter Gabriel, so I didn't realize that she was the other half of that.
Yeah.
I agree that it's a more boring song. Later done by Alicia Keys and U2. Fun
Oh,
little fact that you didn't
what a
need to
combo.
know.
Yeah. Okay.
But it did it for the Africa album, and
Oh.
so it was like "Don't Give Up," and you know.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, "Hounds of Love." I love how I can't click on that, so that's fine. Vocals, piano, keyboard. Fish People is apparently a label. Things you didn't know. She's okay. She was born right around the time of my daddy. So she's English. That's what we're getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
she was super famous in England, like superstar teenager. Um, Pretty crazy. Like,
selected for induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of 2023.
hey, all my people are finally getting their day with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Which who gives a
Yes.
shit, really?
Right?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, clinging relevance.
And because of Stranger Things, I assume Running Up That Hill was also listed at number 60 in Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time.
Hey, all right.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's not her best. She's that song was always I mean, that's the single, and it was whatever. But man, she can do so much more than that.
Now, you were saying early days of Genesis, Peter Gabriel, but maybe some Phil Collins. That
Mm.
resonates with me. Because when Peter Gabriel kind of went off on his own, I was like, okay. The band Genesis still good, but there's a different sound happening here.
Mm.
So are you're more of a Peter Gabriel fan than a Phil Collins fan?
It depends on the day.
That's fair.
I mean, like Land of Confusion doesn't get much better than that.
I agree. I agree. And then they had to go and make it a metal thing or a hard rock thing. What is that? What band did Land of Confusion later?
Oh, I don't know. Was there a
Oh,
famous cover?
yeah, there was, and that's the one
Oh.
that they use all the time. Let me see.
What?
Yeah. Let me see.
Well,
Uh,
people out here making bad choices. I can't help them.
Confusion. Disturbed.
Oh God, really?
Yep. If there wasn't a DMCA, I'd play it for you right now.
I'll have to listen to it on my
Yeah,
own.
it's different. I mean, it's different,
Yeah.
but it serves the purpose of like the now compared to Peter Gabriel's time, and so it was a more updated version, so to speak. Okay, so, gosh, why is he so good? Sledgehammer.
Yeah, man, that was a great song.
Yeah. Man, he's so. For other uses, Peter Gabriel Okay, I don't know what that means. Let's kind of go into looping, right? So
Sure.
we're talking about music. I don't want to leave music at this time. I swear to God, Wikipedia.
Tell him you already donated. I already donated.
All right, I will do that next time. We'll see what happens.
I've donated, so you've donated by proxy.
Okay,
now.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so live looping, history of looping device. Okay, what do we got? The gramophone record?
Yeah, I guess it's been around for a while.
Dave
Not the
Crosby
way that
became
it's
the first
done.
American musician to release music via tape broadcast, and Les Paul demonstrated live looping on the television show Omnibus.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, here's the timeline: gramophone, multi-tracking, Terry Riley, Frippertronics.
Frippertronics,
What the
yes.
world is Frippertronics? Robert Fripp.
Robert Fripp,
Okay.
yeah, which famous, very famous rock musician and a lot of progressive rock stuff. King Crimson, and I mean, worked with so many artists.
Yeah.
Talking Heads, David Bowie.
Okay. Yeah, David Bowie, Talking Heads, Daryl Hall, Blondie. Interesting. So he has a specific tronic, like he has a specific thing that he invented, or how does that work?
Tronics. Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what that is, but
Let's see, discipline,
I mean,
discography.
he's known for like amazing, unique guitar styling.
Yeah, Les Paul. Fripp used two Paul guitars with one volume control.
Oh, I was using tape delay
Okay,
on a reel to reel.
got it. And so that technique is what made it called Friptronics.
Yeah.
Can you imagine something being named like Laneytronics?
I mean, I do every day. I can't. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting.
Waiting for the copyright. Just
waiting for my moment when something essential to musical history is named after me.
yes. Things to aim for. I think you're right around the corner.
Yeah, any day now.
Okay, so in 2012-13 poll of 1,000 singers, 11% stated that they use live looping, while 51% did not know what live looping was.
Weird. That's a weird poll.
Yes. Ed Sheeran uses looping. Howie Day. I'm trying to find like anyone that I recognize. Doesn't mean I like them. Andrew Bird. I like Andrew Bird. And then find. So we've got loop music, live electronic music, and delay audio effect. To which does that match your? Well, I guess live looping, but which matches your definition that you wrote in your likes and dislikes?
Okay, so well, what I'm doing on the stream, which I didn't do before I was streaming, is basically loop based music. So when I'm writing something, I'll begin by writing a couple of measures of something on either a synthesizer or maybe on the drums. You start with a loop, and then you add stuff by looping up other things. So it's got to work in a way that it repeats itself over and over, and then it's got to be developed such that it still feels like it's something is happening with it. It's changing, it's moving, it's becomes a song. And that happens by adding things, taking things away, adding vocals, sometimes, writing a B section, switching from one section to the next. And I didn't start out being good at this. I just I learned how to do it basically on stream. And then, now I'm at a point where I can sort of get into a flow state where I can't really use my analytical mind very much when I'm improvising a song. So, but you sort of get into this place of like, all right, this needs to change. So I have like a little like timer in my head, or it's not, just something that sort of clicks into place where I'm like, a change needs to happen, and I have like, I'm sort of building a repertoire of like tricks that I can apply to the mix, to the instruments being looped up, to sort of either add something, take something away, add a little more effects, add some delay to like open up the space or dry it out to sort of make it feel small. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And part of me understood what you were saying, and part of me was like, I want to understand what you're saying because
Oh, well, if I can
that's
clarify anything, let me know.
yeah. I mean, so you even said B. What is a B side or
Oh, a B
a B
section.
section?
Yes. So
So
the A
like
section is just like I write. There's a two measures of music looped up and it's repeating over and over, and that's the A section. Or like a verse of a song. Just any song, the verse you could call that the A section.
okay,
And then the chorus, the B section.
okay, okay, and then you were talking about dry to make it small.
Yeah, so I another thing that I do is use effects while I'm looping. So I have a bunch of controllers around me, and I have effects mapped to the knobs. So something like reverb, for example, or delay.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are called like spatializing effects. Basically, it just creates the sense of space. When you add reverb, it sounds like you're in a big cave or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can use reverbs, you can use different size reverbs to sort of create a different like texture in the music. So if I want to differentiate sections of a song that I'm creating
Mm-hmm.
to make it flow, to make it feel like it's changing, like you're not just listening to 10 to 20 minutes of the same two measures of music looped over and over again because
Right.
it's boring. That's one thing that you can change and mess with.
Okay.
Adding more reverb, and then it sounds like boomy and sort of wet and washed out. Or just adding enough so that it has sort of a subtle change. Maybe people don't notice exactly what's happening, but they feel that there's been a change, and that helps just develop the piece.
And you learned a lot of this off of Twitch, or you learned a lot of this with your audio background?
I mean, I'm applying concepts that I've used making records. So before Twitch, I made albums,
Mm-hmm.
and no, I was a live performer, but I was also a studio producer and performer, and I did a lot of producing. All the School Trees stuff I produced or co-produced, and when you're doing that, you learn a lot about you know mixing an album and doing using things like what I was just talking about, reverbs and delays, for example, to create change and create space and just gel instruments together, or whatever you're using it for. And
Right.
so translating that to live setting wasn't easy. It was sort of something that I had to figure out as I went along, and I'm still sort of learning how to do it. And I have kind of a complicated setup to enable me to use all these effects while I'm writing music and playing. uh, but um but yeah, it's sort of the same principles, just doing it in an improvisational setting, which I never thought would even be an option because it's already so like nitpicky and detailed and involved in crafts, oriented when you're in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I love that you do everything like not random. I mean, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like live.
improvised.
Yes, I don't know why I couldn't think of that
Yeah,
word.
I wish there was a synonym because I'm tired of using that word. There really isn't.
But yeah, improvised, and so understanding what you're using, understanding the loops that you're creating. Yeah, winging it. There you go, Jack.
Winging it.
Um,
Wing a dang dang.
but trying to do that all live and figuring out yourself and learning. I mean, you seem like a damn professional to me, so I'm surprised that. I mean, but I guess you're always learning, right? Like, no matter what you do, you still are always learning the ways to make it better.
Yeah, I think that if you're not doing that, then you're sort of dead inside, aren't you? Like, I don't know. I do my best. I do feel my best when I'm learning things and challenged and not feeling. I mean, it's good to feel like you're at the top of your game, but it's also good to feel like you're on your way on a journey to figure something out and
Excellent.
accomplish something.
Yeah, and so you save some of your stuff, right?
Save it like saving files, or
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes, and it's also all archived. So I save all my VODs to a private YouTube channel,
Okay.
which I share on my Patreon.
Nice. That's good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good way to remember the songs, and if you ever want to go back to anything, you can. But if not, at least you have like see where you came from and see where you are. I mean,
Yeah.
do you go back and look at the older ones?
Though sometimes there's so much at this point that I'm like, I'd have to really think of a specific episode and be like, oh, I should go back and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't even doing music for the first year or so that I was streaming, really. I was doing some like, oh, let me open up Ableton and write something, but I wasn't doing this sort of performance oriented
Now, what made
improvisation.
you go into? I mean, you use words, like you use words, but a lot of the time it's just your voice. Like, so I
Oh, like,
remember, like, what is it, Sky Cows, or one of them was,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
And so you use that as your inspirational off to get you out where you need to go. And then from there, you use just a lot of loops of your voice, and it just sounds super pretty and melodic and very well done. And
Thanks.
so I was curious what made you use your voice and less like a full lyrical composition.
Like, you mean like using sort of syllables instead of words, or?
Yeah, so to speak. So like I agree, Racket. But I mean, you to me like you use A and B like you're talking about with music instead
Mhm.
of being like sky cows. There's a sky cow in the sky and it's mooing and it's whatever you know what I'm saying? Like that's my new rap, by the way. No, but
Needs some work, to be honest.
well, it moves in the sky. No, I don't know
like
if my
it.
clip button works. You might have to do it the old-fashioned way, if it was our, but that is freaking funny. But yeah, so like, yeah. Hopefully you understood what I meant.
I'm still trying to understand it. So the question just why don't I use more lyrics or
I like the way you do things, but why don't you use more lyrics?
oh probably because it's one of the things that I'm not great at improvising is words. It's and I think it might be part of like I have to turn off the analytical part of my brain to get into the flow state of like creating a song in real time, and I think like something about that is just sort of that must be where my lyrics writing part of my brain is, because I think I have pretty solid lyrics writing skills, but um what I do most of the time when I'm writing lyrics for a song not in real time in front of people, a lot of the time it begins with nonsense and syllables that are just like, this is the shape of what the sounds my mouth is going to make. And then it's almost like you see like a really fuzzy image. So something is sort of begins as a blob, and then you can see it's a square, and then you get closer and you see it's a cube, and then you start seeing all this detail on the cube, and that's how lyrics sort of will evolve when I'm writing them. So it's almost like there's this placeholdery stage that's very like would be embarrassing if people heard it, if I did it in front of people, because it's just like it's gibberish.
Right.
And I don't want to do that in front of people, and it's but like, yeah, lyrics don't come easily or quickly to my flow state brain.
Got it.
So that's part of the reason why I have a song topic request, which I love when people request a song topic, because that's just all I need is a starting point most of the time. Although sometimes I need a little more, and that's part of why I have Laneytron, which is my bot that's actually powered by ChatGPT. So somebody can actually just be like, Laneytron, write some lyrics about this topic, and she will, and then I'll sing them.
Right. Yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay.
Which is fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, like write a sonnet about whatever, or write a poem about whatever. Yeah, ChatGPT is crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
And then you also have panda fights.
Yes.
And
speaking of
so,
pandas,
where did the panda fight originate?
So So every week I try to go to a new location on Planet Laney.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one week we were in this like cherry blossom sort of place, and I had these silly pandas, like gifs, basically. Like I try to combine like a kind of a funny, like meme-ish looking like element into my nature scenes on Planet Laney. And so I had a red panda and then I had a blue panda. There was also like a panda sun.
Okay.
And somebody was like, "Oh, I don't know if it was Saxton. It was somebody in chat was like, the blue panda should fight the red panda," or like, I was like, "Oh, that would be funny." And then I was like, "Fuck it, next week we'll make them fight somehow." And then I don't remember how long it took me to set it up, but I was, yeah, I created whatever the fight scene,
yes,
sort of a la Street Fighter ish fight scene, and then we had people be able to gamble their channel points on it,
which is great because channel points can really be give or take. You know, you can accrue so many channel points and then be like, "What do I do with this?" But then when you're able to like gamble them into a funny segment, I mean, that's amazing.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, best background music in any scene on Twitch.
Racket knows that music.
Okay, cool. I love that. All started from talking about looping.
Nice.
So what is... Oh, you're gonna kill me. Is it Mystic? But it's MSTEK?
MST3K.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater 2000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, like prog rock I get. This one I was lost.
Oh, you've never heard of it?
Mystery Science I have heard, but I've never seen the abbreviation.
Oh, okay. MST3K, Misties.
That's so great.
I'm a bit of a Misty.
Yeah, so tell me about it. Tell me what... I know there was a remake.
Yeah, fuck the remake.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Not good?
Too spicy. I mean, I didn't like it, but I'm probably a purist. I grew up, watching MST3K on Comedy Central, and it's sort of like a thing that my brother and I would do for sport, is just watch bad movies. My brother's actually a filmmaker. He's very good. But when we were kids and into adulthood, and we still get together and do it sometimes, is watching terrible movies and just tearing them apart, or just more like sort of making jokes. Like it's like a performance. It's sort of like improv, like
right. Allowing yourself to make joke about something that they probably took very seriously.
Yeah, hopefully they took it seriously. That's the best part. The train wreck that wasn't intended to be.
Yes.
Pretty terrible, but
let's see. So how long did this go for? How many?
I want to say it was canceled in 96.
13 seasons. 230 episodes. Wow.
Yeah, I think I've seen all of the ones from the original series.
Wow.
Yeah, like at least once, and probably more than once.
Basic premise of the show: a human test subject has been imprisoned aboard the spacecraft Satellite of Love.
Yep.
By a mad scientist, and is forced to watch a series of bad movies in order to find the one that will drive the test subject insane. Perfect premise.
Yeah, it is a perfect premise.
Why or what made this happen?
It might have been Joel Hutchins' idea. I don't know.
I'm interested that it was on Comedy Central.
I think they bought it. Okay. I think it was originally like a local thing, although I can't remember. It was Joel, yeah. But I think it was like, yeah, it was aired like I almost want to. I don't know if it was public access, or I don't think it was that low budge, but it has those low budget vibes that I really love, and I think it probably inspires my stream a little bit in terms of being lost in space and.
Local Minnesota cable.
Minnesota. Yep. It's got big Minnesota
Oh,
energy.
does it?
Yeah, it did start on local Minnesota cable. Okay. Yeah, and then Comedy Central bought it, and that's how I found it when I was a kid. I
Okay.
watched nothing but Comedy Central and MTV.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. In 1989 to 1996. And there was a movie that had
Yeah, the
very
movie was
little.
just
Not good.
like a full length, an episode you like with a full length movie.
Got
It's
it.
pretty much just like a regular episode.
Okay. Now, I remember some of it, and I'm trying to remember the. No, 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 casting. There we go. I remember her. I remember her.
Yeah, I watched like a couple episodes of the relaunch and I
Mm-hmm.
was just not feeling the vibe. It felt, like it was trying too hard
Yeah, that
and I
makes
couldn't.
sense.
Yeah.
That's Felicia Day. Is that who that is? I'm trying to figure out what her name is because she was on episodes of um they do board games on YouTube, and I
Mm.
can't think of what their name is, but she was really great on that, and that's where I learned of her, which is how I actually learned about Mystery Science Theater because I missed out on that. Felicia Day, thank you. I missed out on that legacy.
Mm.
I learned it later though, and I think it's hilarious. It's a good show.
Yeah.
Um, I just love that you put MST3K, and I was like,
Oh, so yeah, sorry. I probably should have put the full.
no, you did perfect. I hate that I didn't know what that was. Um, all right, so talking about movies too. What about Watership Down?
Yeah. So that was like if I had to pick one movie, that was like the only movie I get to pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's like most influential on me, one of my earliest memories. Dark movie to be like my 4-year-old memory, but but I loved it. I loved it as a kid, I loved it as a teenager, I love it as an adult. It's just like, I mean, the story's great, the book's good, and the movie, just the music, the score is amazing, the voice acting is incredible, the artwork is beautiful, and the story is so good. It's so epic. It's so like so heroism, death. The questions about how to live as a society, how to survive
Hmm.
collectively.
All right, so.
Personal sacrifice. It's ultimate story, man.
Oh my gosh, they'd air it on Easter.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where in the 80s they didn't understand. They didn't understand things like traumatizing young children. They were just like, it's a cartoon with rabbits. Let's play it on Easter. if you it's it's dark and disturbing. Which I think is actually, I'm glad that I was exposed to dark and disturbing things like that on an artistic sort of level like this as a kid, because I feel like it really shaped me as an adult.
Absolutely.
For
That.
better or worse.
No, I love how what we. I mean, how many times have you watched it since then? Since your 4-year-old brain.
I can't count.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably been like 40 or 50 times. I would watch it like, you know, several times a year when I was younger. I haven't seen it in a few years though. So, I don't know. I've seen it a lot.
So the reason I ask is because it's one of those things like we see it as at a very young age, and then we go back and we're like, oh, okay, maybe
Mhm.
this wasn't so bad as it was, or wow, this was really, this was a lot worse than I thought.
Yeah, I think I had that. I definitely had that phase of being like, "Oh, this is like even darker than I realized when I was a little kid." Because I was very attached to it as a little kid. I remember I had this art book of it, and I would just like the spine was worn out, and I loved rabbits. So it was like, for me as a little kid, the connection was, yeah, it's about rabbits and I love rabbits. And yes, it makes me like scared and cry, but rabbits. So yay.
Right.
And then as a teenager, I think I was like really caught up in the angst and the pathos, and it really spoke to me then. And then I would use it to sort of indoctrinate new like friends or boyfriends
You have to see
in my
this
life,
movie.
and be like, if you want to understand me, you have to watch this movie, kind of thing. You will not understand me until you see this movie. And then as an adult, I watched it, and I was, I think my appreciation of it deepened, but also my appreciation of how dark it is. Also, I was like, wow, like this is really, heavy stuff. Then I still feel that way when I watch it. I'm like, I have to prepare myself to watch it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be it's
Gonna
gonna
be a
be
wild
tough.
ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wish that I had something like a story that great as far as like a childhood thing that was like expressed to me.
Mm.
Mine, and you're gonna laugh, like my teenage angst of like you have to watch this if you want to understand me, was Garden State.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, yes, because the
I remember that movie.
soundtrack was perfect in every way, in my opinion. And I'm from New Jersey, so I was like,
Okay.
this is me. And then of course later I was like, maybe not so much me. Like I'm not doing a bunch of drugs in this guy's basement. Like I don't know, that's not me. But at the time, teenage angst. What are you gonna do? So
Yeah, no, I remember liking that movie.
now, Watership Down, Pinnacle. Give me one to two more that really express maybe later in life. What did Lainey see the less scary 2018 adaptation?
Yeah, I did, Jack. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Um, I need to revisit it actually. I saw it like when it came out. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh my gosh, effects on children and BBFC classification. Wait. The British broadcaster Channel 5 faced criticism after broadcasting the film in a pre-watershed slot on Easter Sunday,
I'm
which was
fucking
seen
up a
to
bunch
be
of kids.
poor taste due to the film's representation of violence inflicted upon rabbits,
It's
and with
rabbit on rabbit
many
violence.
people on social media expressing concern about child being distressed, though it
Mm.
was unclear whether any children were actually negatively affected. Despite the criticism, Channel 5 broadcast Watership Down on Easter Sunday again the following year.
This is the 80s for you, although maybe this was the 70s. I don't
No,
know.
this is
But
2016.
oh god, what? Wow.
This is,
Jeez, how many decades is it going to take, people? Come on.
oh my gosh. That is
That's
so
hilarious.
funny.
Wow.
Um, Film critics 1978 as suitable for children in spite of its potentially distressing aspects. It's a straightforward children's adventure story.
That's hilarious. I mean, that's the 70s for you. That's like, throw the baby in the back seat and hope for the best.
Keep the baby in the front seat on you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just hold them. It's the same as a seatbelt.
Right. Okay, so give me second on the list.
Second on the list of like,
And it could be in your top 10, just like a second on
all
the
right.
list as far as like something pinnacle.
In terms of like formative influences, which is all that's coming to mind right now, I really loved Secret of Nim.
Okay.
That's another one that's like, it's got a lot of those dark themes. It's got a lot of that sort of just epic, like hero stuff going on. That's a great movie. It's also a good book.
Yeah, based off the children's novel. Okay.
Yeah, that's some good shit. And another one that the music is amazing. Like just yeah, the music's great. It holds up. I still love it. That's really good. Don Bluth is a treasure.
Yeah, so widowed a field mouse, lives in a cinder block with her children. Brisby longs to move her family out of the field as plowing time approaches as her son, Timothy, has fallen ill. Aww. obviously it's going to tell me more about the plot, but I don't really want to spoil anything. Spoilers, 1982
Yeah.
spoilers.
I know. Spoiler alert.
But yeah, so you said it's kind of has it all, right? Hero sort of aspect to it. Why did that help you formatively? Like what?
I don't know. I think like now that I think of it, it's like all the stuff, all the stories that I loved from childhood were very based in like the hero's journey, and like that still resonates with me today. Like that was sort of the blueprint I used for the rock opera that I wrote, Heterotopia. And I think the hero's journey is just a really great like framework for understanding and like weathering challenges and like pursuits, challenging pursuits in one's own life.
Absolutely.
You know, it's helped me get through like the toughest stuff that I've had to get through, and understand that like, you know, I don't know, that great gains come with great like pain and sacrifice, and that's okay, because you come out on the other side, you know, reborn.
Right.
I
Welcome
think
at
that's what
Midnight
these stories
Java.
taught me.
No, I think that that's the hero story is. I mean, you have two great movies under your belt, stories under your belt. For this, tell me one more story. I'm interested to know. I'm kind of like getting the Laney idea here.
Oh, about Heterotopia?
No, just like well, yes, I'm gonna ask about that in a minute because you brought it up.
Oh.
But give me one more story as far as maybe that helped that rock opera, or tell
me. Let's see. I mean, I also I don't know that it holds up as well now, but I loved The Neverending Story.
Okay.
That was another one that was like, I loved that shit.
Of course.
In terms of the formative stuff. But I don't kind of look back at that one and say like that's an enduring classic that everyone should see necessarily. It feels very dated to me now, and but sort of in a way that I enjoy. I still enjoy it.
Yeah, I watched this. Let's see, this came out in 1984, so I had to have watched this 15 years after it came out, probably.
Okay.
And so, yeah, probably. And I remember watching it and just being so depressed about the quicksand part, or the mud, or whatever.
Yeah.
That to me was childhood
brutal.
trauma. I was
brutal.
just like, oh my god.
Absolutely. Many children were traumatized by the swamps of sadness.
Absolutely.
Artax, you're sinking. Why is the horse so sad? What are you sad about, Artax? Get Artax some therapy.
Okay, so
the horse death scene broke me as a child.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So let's talk about one more movie / book that you put down. Segue. There's Lord of the Rings.
Oh yes, of course, one of them ultimate.
Sorry, they put musical.
Musical.
I had to check it out. I had to know what that meant. There's a Lord of the Rings musical.
Of course there is.
The show closed 1 year later, becoming one of the biggest commercial flops.
Womp,
okay.
womp.
Sorry, I look at the real Lord of the Rings now.
There's a non-musical version of LTR?
Oh, God. Okay, there's a Lord of the Rings board game. Can we just get to the...
Board of the Rings.
Well, I was trying
they
to
missed an opportunity there with
them.
them.
I was trying to see if he was going to do film, or if I was going to try to see... if I was going to see the movies, or if I was going to see the books. And so
you can see either.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I read the books, but I really like the movies were a big part of uh my life when they came out. The first one, I mean not the first ones. Although I did see the first ones too. The unfinished what was it? Rankin, it wasn't Rankin Bass, it was or maybe it was. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, there were some early movies made in like the 70s, 80s, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, which they didn't finish Lord of the Rings. But anyway, the ones that came out in the early 2000s, Peter Jackson. Man, I've seen those so many times, and I also watched all the behind the scenes. There was like 25 hours of behind the scenes stuff that came with the the DVDs, the extended cuts.
Oh my gosh.
I watched all 25 hours, and honestly, every minute was great, riveting. Story behind the story, but but yeah, Lord of the Rings, one of the great fantasy tales ever written.
Now, how did you like the Hobbit to the Lord of the Rings? Did you feel like it was just the extension, or do you feel like it was its own movie and its own?
Like Peter Jackson's Hobbit?
Yes.
Kill it with fire.
Yeah.
Like go back in time and like stop it from being made. That's how I felt about the Hobbit. I tried to watch it, and I tried to watch it again because I wanted it. I wanted it to be good. I wanted to have the experience of loving it, and it hurt me.
Oh no.
It hurt me. It was like drinking vinegar. I have some strong feelings about it, I guess. I'm still processing the trauma of The Hobbit. It was like Phantom Menace all over again.
That's great. So, now, do you know the game Magic?
Yes.
Okay. So, they came out with a Lord of the Rings version, and they literally made one ring card.
Well.
Okay.
What?
One of the cards, and you know how you play Magic cards, right? One of the cards is the ring.
The one ring?
Yes, and there is only one ring. It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket, okay?
Okay.
So, my brother told me this because he's a magic freak. And he told me that the ring was just found in Canada, and they sold it for over $5 million. And sold it to some guy overseas or whatever, and the guy's not even going to use it. He has it just in his one ring collection. But I was just like, damn, like this series takes it to a whole nother level.
I know. It's sort of like a modern day retelling of the story. I'd like to hear like if anyone was murdered in the course of this, you know, was anyone drowned by their brother over this?
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, it's just what people will go through for one ring to rule them all.
You know?
What's your favorite character?
Favorite character? Wow. I mean, it's a tie between all of them.
Okay.
No, I mean, what Gandalf, I love Gandalf, but Frodo, really good. Samwise is really good. The relationship between Frodo and Samwise really like stirs something in me. Yeah. I really wanted them to get together at the end, but
that's fair.
You know, that's what it is. But yeah. Okay. I did like the Amazon Rings of Power series. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. I did not mind the license that they took with it. Awesome. I thought they did a good job.
Better than drinking vinegar.
Yeah, no. I was prepared. I was like, is this going to be The Hobbit all over again?
On the side, like just waiting.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned a Star Wars reference, yeah?
Yes.
So tell me about your love of Star Wars, because it sounds like you... Well, let me ask. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Okay.
Hundo P, but... Star Trek, Hundo P, but I did love Star Wars when I was younger. And I was, like, excited. When Phantom Menace came out, I was cheering in the theater when you first saw it on screen. I was too young to see the other ones in the theater.
Right.
I got into them after, and then yeah, when it was when it came up on the screen, I was like, yeah! And a lot of people were cheering.
Right.
But we were not cheering by the end. We were just shell shocked, pale, sweating, needing support. It was terrible.
So then, what about Attack of the Clones? Now, did it just get worse progressing from there?
It just got worse, and you're just in the franchise, so you keep going back, thinking, all right, well, they've learned surely from the last one, but no.
And then what about all the new ones?
They're trash. I mean, I think Rogue One I liked, and then I just stopped. Because I was just like, well, it's so like money grubbing franchise, which it was eventually with I don't know. I guess Empire Strikes Back. No, I guess it's Return of the Jedi is the one people really, the true fans really like are annoyed with or whatever. I was too young to really think critically about the first three. And I loved the story and the hero's journey. That's very much like, George Lucas very consciously used like the monomyth hero's journey to craft that story, and probably why it resonated so universally at the time.
Do you have any Star Wars memorabilia in your house?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do. I used to have a C-3PO watch, and I think I have a yo-yo. I have a couple of random things, but
So let's talk. Yeah. All right, so which Star Trek is your Star Trek?
I mean, Next Generation was the one that I grew up loving, but then I got into the original series. Really, I love Voyager. I think Voyager is underrated. Deep Space Nine is amazing. I haven't seen any of the newer ones because they're paywalled.
Against what are they on?
I want to say Paramount Plus.
Okay. Oh, racket.
The C3PO clock. Shut up, Racket. I gotta dig out that watch now.
You gotta find it.
Yeah, I gotta find it.
So you've mentioned like all of them, which is great because some people have like What do you have a seeded hate for any of them, or is there one series that you're just like, this is trash?
Enterprise is sort of trash. Okay. Enterprise feels very like jingoistic Federation. It's very like Federation exceptionalism.
Got it.
And I feel like Scott Bakula just sucked. And God, I can never even remember the name of the captain. Like, just so much about Enterprise just was so wrong-headed.
Right.
And like not of the universe in terms of its like its thinking and its ideological assertions.
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out when that was. 2001 to 2005. Okay.
Which, and I've only seen like some of the first season, and I heard that post 9/11 it changed quite significantly and improved. And I'm actually kind of curious. Like, I would watch it because it's Star Trek. I'll watch it.
Right.
But I think they took it off Netflix and I couldn't see it in time.
Yeah. It came out right post 9/11, September 26th.
Yeah. Well, I think it started. I want to say it started before and changed.
Let's see.
I thought that it started before.
Producers 2001 to 2005. Yeah, that's just saying.
So if it aired in September 26th. I don't know if that meant that they had filmed already prior to whatever.
Got it.
The 11th, but yeah, I'd be curious about that actually.
Now, what was I going to say before? Star Trek.
Captain Archer, thanks, Ragged.
What did you think about the movies?
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, so Wrath of Khan
Mm-hmm.
is the pinnacle.
Right.
Love Wrath of Khan. Um, Star Trek 4, a classic. Captain Darby Whales.
Mm-hmm.
Space whales, come on. Plus like all the like, the crew in one of 1980s Earth classic shit. I mean, a lot of the movies were like, I think 6 was good. Undiscovered Country. Um
What about the newest ones, like the movies that came out in the?
those were fun, but they're not really like, they're pretty soulless ultimately. I think it gets, a lot of this modern stuff, it really just feels like, corporate executives with their hands in the cookie jar, just squeezing all the juice out of the franchise.
Yeah, I can see
And
where
I'm
that's coming from.
Yeah, and what we get is this like beautiful shiny desiccated husk. And a lot of people are good with the desiccated husk, it seems, but yeah, I kind of just feel like, well, I need some juice. Give me the juice. Jack wants some juice now and husks.
Space whales. Um. Okay,
What's up,
so
Richard?
okay, was dynamic range compression, was that a part of looping?
It's just basically just called compression in audio, and I had run out of things that I was like, what else do I like? I was like, do I even like 15 things?
I told you, people would be like, "Oh yeah, I hate." Somebody gave me a list of 15 things they hate, and I was like, "Okay, that's fine, but where's your 15
Nah.
things you like?"
You know, we're yeah, so but I was thinking about it, compression actually is pretty cool and useful. And um yeah, it's an audio nerd thing. And it's basically taking sound and sort of making the loud parts quieter and making the quieter parts a little louder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like taking the edge off the dynamic range of audio. It's very useful for, I mean, you use it a lot in studio production. I actually have a compressor on my computer speakers because, like, most audio is all over the place when you're just on the internet. And even on Netflix, different shows, the audio is just kind of, sometimes it's just not that good. And it's nice to be
Right.
able to shape it a little bit while you're
Yeah,
listening to it.
for sure. Captain Erock, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid.
Hey,
Welcome everybody.
Raiders!
This is Wiki Wednesday. We're here with Lainey Schooltree TV. We are going down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. We are trying to find some brand new facts and also try to understand the old facts as far as what Lainey can tell us. She's very knowledgeable about these sort of things. So I'm
I love
kind of just,
facts.
I'm kind of like leaving Wikipedia alone and just like, give me the deets, man.
I was like, what can I talk about for a while? Probably compression.
um, and then you put, I know you like this cable management. I know you get a
It's
little
very
freaked out
important.
about it, yeah. And that's audio engineering. Like I did audio engineering for like a semester.
Oh,
I
nice.
thought that's what I did vocal jazz, and then I was like, I can't make a living off of this. So then I went to audio engineering, and then I was like,
Oh,
I really like this, but I'm transferring schools now to Missouri, and then it just became communication.
oh wow.
So,
What a
um,
journey.
yeah, quite a journey. But cable management, I worked with an a cappella group doing their film and audio, and cable
Oh,
management was like number one. Like black tape everywhere. Just
yeah. Yeah, a lot of tripping hazards on stage,
mm-hmm.
especially with a big group of singers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Cable management just a tedious, boring, essential part of making audio.
Yeah, definitely look at this picture and tell me that's not.
Ah!
Oh, that's funny.
Cableism. That's my religion.
Yeah. um So I had to bring that up because I thought that was great. Now I have these all out of order. I should have orderized them.
Orderizing, I
Ordered
like it. I like it.
orderized it.
And when you get it out of order, it's deorderizing.
Exactly.
Deodorant.
Yes. um, why we talked about synth sort of, but why analog? Why did you choose
Analog
analog?
synths? Oh, because that's what I use in my rig for the streams.
Okay. What about it makes it different than just regular synthesizers?
Digital. It's analog versus digital, basically. And analog refers to like the circuitry. And basically what it amounts to as a sound, it's like a particular sound. You know, you might describe analog as being warmer. It's not always necessarily, but digital sounds are often described as being like colder, smoother, having less dynamic range, which we were just talking about when talking about compression.
Mm-hmm.
So, like an analog synth might have, you know, more of a shape to it, the sounds it's making, where the dynamics are wider, I guess, more varied.
Yeah,
but analog synths are, you know, from the 60s and 70s. I want to say they might have even been around before that, but it's sort of like that coveted sound of the warmth and the complexity.
Okay. Now the I like this. So digital synthesizers largely replaced analog ones. By the 1990s, however, musicians from the techno rave DJ scenes who wanted to produce electronic music but lacked the budget created a market for the then cheap secondhand analog equipment. And this increased demand towards the mid 90s. The larger number of musicians gradually rediscovered the analog qualities.
Interesting.
And that's when analog synths became popular again.
Yeah, there was this whole thing in the 80s where digital was just sort of considered the next stage of like evolution in audio. And it was just, it's better, it's more convenient. It's like the convenience store, you know, replacing the grocery store in a way, or I don't know, maybe that's not a perfect analogy. But anyway, I think like a lot of like CDs replaced tapes, and like digital effects replaced analog effects in the studio, and you can hear it like from that era. There's something, you know, there's a lot of great digital sounds, but there's also like something is lost. And I think that's part of why we sort of had a split off after the 2000s, where some people were like, you know, we got into like digitized music and we're working with like MP3s, and people who are like the opposite of audiophiles, who were just like, it doesn't, fidelity doesn't really mean anything to me, it doesn't really matter, digital's fine. And then the audiophiles who are like, I want everything on vinyl.
Right.
And sort of getting into that whole world of you know, expensive stereos with analog circuitry and stuff like that.
Okay. I wanted to put this. Okay. So I think we've covered music except for electro swing. I need to know.
Finally, we're getting to my dislikes.
Oh, I usually save the dislikes towards the end and then throw in some more likes. Just kind of buffer it. Tell me about electro swing.
Yeah, it's my most hated genre of music.
Okay.
And admittedly, like, there's a lot that I don't like. I'm sort of like an opinionated jerk about like most things, but especially music. And there's a lot about electro swing that I don't like. I don't like house music in general, but something about combining house music with like vintage sort of swing, Charleston, like, you know, stuff from that era, it just hits me viscerally in this way that just, it makes me intensely uncomfortable, and I have to leave.
Let me see. I don't even recognize any of these. Yolanda Be Cool. I've never heard of any of these people. I'm an Albatross.
I don't know. I don't know any of the artists. Like, I just am occasionally forced to listen to it because like tweakers love this shit. Tweakers love house music, and I happen to know some tweakers, but every now and then people I know I see why people think it would be good. Like it combines this sort of like upbeat dance music with this sort of, vintage sound, and theoretically it seems like it would be like this kind of unique interesting combo, but it has the effect of just it feels like it's trying way too hard and doesn't fit, and I just personally hate it.
That's fair.
I don't think
Um,
there's anything wrong with liking it though.
it's a, I love that for you. That's where that statement comes into foreplay. I love that for you. I don't love it for me.
Yeah.
The swing jazz Charleston Lindy Hop mixed with house and hip hop.
Oh.
Use trumpets, trombones, clarinet, saxophones, and at least one DJ. At least.
At least one.
Please prepare your one DJ. At least, at minimum requirements. And so you hate electro swing, but why do you hate ukuleles?
Well, look, it's just dislike.
Okay, fine.
The ukulele is just
dislike.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like there are plenty of people out there who play the ukulele for real and it sounds good and they are good and it's a real instrument. But a lot of the time the ukulele is sort of like treated like a toy instrument that a hipster picks up and is like, I'm going to go busk with my instrument. I don't know, it's sort of I need to think about this so I don't sound like an asshole. I think this actually is like an asshole opinion. I'm pretty sure like this is not for the things that I don't like. I don't necessarily have a good reason for not liking them. But like I've seen way too many people pick up a ukulele and just like torture me with it. Like it's just sort of like the instrument of people who, let's say, they just haven't put that much time into learning music. Mm-hmm. But it's like accessible, it's small, it's like a toy, and
is it like
you're risking never getting a again.
Is it like the 5th grade clarinet of music?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I'd say clarinet has like a higher like bar to entry, like more of a learning curve for sure. Ukulele, you just like pick it up and strum it, and I don't know.
That makes sense. Now, do you like the sound of it at least, or you just don't like?
No.
Okay.
No, it's so, and part of it is like, being a stage performer and doing a lot of variety shows and stuff, I've seen a lot of ukulele acts, and it's sort of like burlesque at this point. Like I've also seen a lot of burlesque and I'm just sort of like numb to it. Like
right.
There's so many years of so much of it. And just the ukulele seems to be like the instrument of choice of like someone who's just picked it up.
Got it.
And just needs something to sing along with.
Okay.
No shame. Anybody here who's done that? No shame. I'm the asshole. Okay,
you
not
love
you.
That for them.
I love that for you. I had no idea that was so like pejorative. That phrase. I love that for you.
I know, and that phrase drives me crazy. But in situations like this, where people are like, "I feel guilty," you go, "No, I love that for you." Perfect. All right, cool. So that pretty much, I believe, covers all music on this situation. So we're going to talk about, and I'm not going to pronounce this, so I'm going to put it in, and then you're going to tell me how to pronounce it.
Oh, you can just call it Modica Magica.
Okay, Modica Magica it is. Tell me about it.
It's another, like, hero's journey story, actually, now that I think about it. This is my favorite anime series. It's really, really, really good. But it's about, it's in the magical girls genre, but it's extremely dark. I guess that's my thing now.
Okay.
It seems to be my thing. And I don't want to like spoil or anything for anybody who wants to see it, but
let me say it.
And it's also a beautiful love story.
We'll do this part. The story follows a group of middle school girls who make supernatural contacts to become magical girls and battling surreal enemies known as witches. They learn of anguish and peril associated with their new roles.
And it's very like, it starts out, you know, you think you're sort of hate watching something like saccharine sweet, like magical girl, whatever, and then it just sort of it has this twist and it takes a turn, and yeah,
Okay.
that surprised me a lot.
Where did
Oh, it
you?
was marketed as a straight magical girl show. Yeah, that
Okay.
makes a lot of sense. That's when I first found it. I didn't know anything about it. I just started watching it, and yeah, I was blown away.
Okay. Now, where you did you say where you came to find this? Like, was it just Crunchyroll or did you?
It was probably just recommended on Netflix or
Okay.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. How long have you been watching this? Well, original run is like 2011 to 2011. There's 12 episodes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's pretty short.
when did you fall upon it?
I want to say
2011 or
no, it was way after. It was probably like 2016
okay.
or 17.
Oh, look at that. A video game for the PlayStation Portable was released in March 2012 and another for PlayStation Vita, which was released in 2013. Then a smartphone game August 2017. Huh. Ha ha ha.
Jack, this is your favorite anime? I knew we were friends for a reason.
Oh, cool. They did a cosplay for an anime Boston. That's really cool.
Nice.
Bringing friends together.
It's excellent. Even if you don't like anime, I think, especially if you don't like anime, I think you might like this.
Okay. Have you seen Berserk, Lainey?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about. I talked about that. Is this another abbreviation or something I'm gonna feel stupid about?
Retro.
No,
Oh,
it's not.
natto?
Okay, cool.
All right, we're sticking with the Japanese thing. Yeah, natto, I love. It's a fermented bean,
Mm-hmm.
traditional Japanese food. Um, Most Americans hate it, and when I've shown it to anyone that I was around, they're like disgusted by it because it's weird. It's like slimy. It's not just slimy. It gets like these sort of like strings of slime. Yeah, there's a picture. And it's very like pungent. It's sort of I think like in Japan they think of it almost like a cheese. It's sort of like it has that much variety and sort of depth of like funky fermented flavors to it. Um, but it's extremely nutritious and I think it tastes great. I love to like mix it with some some mustard powder. And
Jack, I was trying to stay a straight face, okay? I was trying so hard to keep a straight face.
what happened?
No. Panda's face, it's like you just said frothy 100 times.
Are you
And
disgusted?
I'm not disgusted. I'm definitely. That picture is definitely not the most appetizing picture I've ever seen.
Yeah. No, it's pretty weird looking. So it's very alien looking.
I imagine, okay, so the reason why I specifically don't like this picture is because I was cleaning out one of my reusable Starbucks cups and I put soap in it and I let the fill up and I put the cap on, and the next day I come back and there's like slime, like snot coming
Ew.
out of it, and it's because all
Ew.
the soap didn't disintegrate. That's
Ow.
what that reminds me of.
Fair.
However,
That's fair.
I'm sure it tastes delicious. I was just disgusted
Maybe
by
not.
the picture. I don't know.
A lot of people are really put off by the taste. I have a pretty high threshold for like weird bitter like flavors, like complex flavors, intense flavors. Like I can eat ginger root raw. It's not exactly pleasing, but I can and will do it. I don't like sweet things very much.
Okay.
So I don't.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I assume you like unagi. Am I saying that right? Unagi?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah, because that has a very pungent
Wait, is that
flavor.
sea urchin?
Galvos. What is it? I can type it in. I have Wikipedia. What? No, not ubagi. Freshwater eel.
Oh yeah, sure.
Um, but I thought it comes in like a slime. There's not
I
only
think you're thinking of sea urchin, which is what is sea urchin?
uni a sea urchin. Oh, okay. I'm thinking unagi versus uni.
I love sea urchin. It's hard to find
Um,
these days.
it's not gonna tell me, but that's fine. But yeah, that taste is very pungent, but
Yeah.
very delicious. Um, and then I was gonna say a lot of people don't like Japanese seaweed salad,
Mm.
and I love Jello worms. To be honest with you, that's what I call them is Jello worms. But a lot of people find them not appetizing. I had to bring that up because of the picture, so I'd try it.
Okay.
Sometimes Japanese bunching onion. Ooh, it's got onion.
You can add onion to it,
Okay.
but it's just like fermented soybeans.
Okay. Legendary origins. It says legendary origins.
Legendary origins.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. They hurriedly packed up the beans and did not open the straw bags until a few days later. By this time, the beans had fermented. The soldiers ate it anyway and liked the taste, so they offered some to Yoshi, who also liked the taste. Interesting.
Wow.
All right.
That's cool.
I learned something today. I learned a lot of things today, mostly about music, which I really soaked up and absolutely loved every conversation about.
Nice.
So you were doing for a minute on stream, you were doing the bicycle thing. Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, like so many other people, I started riding a bike. So I rode a bike a little when I was a kid, like 10,
Right.
and then I just sort of didn't really get that into it. I never had a bike that was the right size, I don't think. And then my partner is very very into riding a bike and commutes via bike, and I was always kind of in wonder of that because we live in Massachusetts, and like Massachusetts is an incredibly terrible place to drive.
Right.
You know, we're called massholes for a reason. And I was pretty much like, I'm never going to trust my life in the hands of like any masshole driving a vehicle by me. But then during the pandemic, the roads were very clear. And he was like, let's just get you on a bike. Let's just try it. And I was like, fuck it. I feel like my life is like, you know, it was during that time of COVID when like we just weren't sure how dangerous it was. It felt like might be the end of the world. And I was just like, fuck it. I'll get on a bike. Who cares? I'm already like risking my life every day just by existing and being around others.
Right.
Or not. So I just started riding around parking lot and I was like, oh, I actually kind of like this. And then there was just nothing else to do. So I started riding around more. I started liking it more. I enjoyed also the feeling of like, it felt dangerous. I wasn't good. And just with people, you know, the way people drive and there were still people on the road sometimes, like the feeling of it being dangerous was sort of cathartic because I felt very trapped. So it felt very very upset during, you know, during the height of the pandemic, as a lot of us were. I was, you know, very upset about a lot of things, very angry, very trapped, felt like a teenager again. And it just felt like a good way to sort of get some of the angst out. And then we just started doing it more and had some friends who were just totally obsessed with it. So we went for longer and longer rides, and I pushed myself to do more and more. And the longest ride I've ever done is 102 miles in one day. It was a long day.
Yeah.
It was a really long day. It's hard. It's the hardest thing about it, I think, is like eating enough during the ride. I never seem to get enough food, and I always end up in a place of like bonking and like crying somewhere. I mean, there's definitely crying involved sometimes, but I love it. And it's like, I think another thing that appealed to me, this whole like sort of apocalyptic vibe of like, well, if we needed to get out of the state and we couldn't use our cars, it would be nice to be able to use our legs. and do it, without walking. So it was
Right.
sort of like it felt sort of like apocalypse training.
That's awesome. And so
Yeah.
you did the biking on stream though.
Hmm.
How did that go for you?
Yeah, it was fine. It was sort of like a fun thing for me to do on stream. Basically, the first like almost year of streaming, I was just sort of putting off doing music on stream
Got it.
because another thing that I felt during COVID times was like maybe fuck music forever. Maybe I never want to make music again.
Right.
My heart was broken, by the world. I just felt like I don't care. And I was also like very burned out before the pandemic anyway. So like once I finally got away from it, I was like, wow, I was in some really toxic situations in the music industry and it was nice to just get away from it. So in a way doing it on stream was sort of like, well, let me find another variety thing I can do on stream that might be fun. I can put myself in a virtual setting and then ride the bike on stream, and it was kind of fun, but it was tough to talk
Yeah.
like a lot. Like I mean, like it was okay talking. The idea was that I was doing like zone 2 sort of riding, which you're supposed to be able to talk while you're in zone 2,
Hmm.
but doing the kind of talking that you have to do while you're streaming, or that I like to do,
Right.
it was a lot. It was a lot.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. So where besides just like where did you tour, bicycle tour? You did 102 miles, you said?
Yeah, so that was the century ride that we did. And we did mostly like rail trails throughout Massachusetts. We did drive up to the New Hampshire border and then around and back down. So we traveled through a lot of different Massachusetts towns, and that's usually what we'll do. But sometimes we'll drive someplace and leave from there. So we actually this last weekend just did a ride in New Hampshire. This is my first like gravel riding ride in New Hampshire. It was hard, and it was
Yeah.
right after flooding rain, and we rode along the Ashwelot River. God, it was like a swamp.
Oh
It was
God.
a really tough day, just riding through a lot of mud. I was covered in mud,
Oh
and
man.
the mosquitoes were insane. But it was a
Uh,
62 mile ride. Most of it was gravel, we all underestimated how tough that would be. It's pretty
yeah.
tough.
Yeah, that's something that I always wanted to get into. The farthest I ever rode a bike, was 13 miles, and I was
Nice.
16.
Okay.
I have not ridden close to that since 16, but you don't have a car yet. In Jersey, you don't get your license until you get your permit when you're 16, and then you're able
Hmm.
to have a half permit at 17 and your full license at 18. It's a bunch of hooky. But I rode everywhere. And now it's
Nice.
like I have two bikes sitting in our mudroom and I would like to ride them, but I'm afraid of like getting hit by a car.
Yeah. Do you have any like rail trails or like bike
You're making me want to
trails?
think that I want to look them up because I would love, I mean, bike riding was like so cathartic for me, like you're saying, but I
Yeah.
just don't, I'm afraid to, you know, get out there. So I think
Are
if
you
I were to
still
ride,
in Jersey?
no, I'm in Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Hmm.
I'll look it up for you. I'm sure there's some, well, I'm not sure, but it's pretty flat out there at least, right? Like you
There's
don't have too much
the,
elevation to deal with.
well, there's the something trail, Katy Trail, which runs from south, basically Sedalia, all the way to like St. Louis, and it's pretty
Hmm.
flat the whole way. But I'm not too close to Sedalia, and I also can't sweat. Like I physically cannot perspire
What?
because of a genetic disease that I have. So it has to
Oh
be
man.
literally the perfect weather
Oh
in order
yeah,
for
that's
me to
tough.
bike.
Yeah.
So, and then believe me, these 90-degree, 100-degree weathers we've been
Nope.
having, it's
Nope.
not for me.
Nope. No, it's not for anyone, and
Right.
I'm sure it's especially not for you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. Oh God.
But again, I mean, biking, you get wind, you can exercise, you can still like, it's movement without trying. I mean, I'm not. That's why I said flat. Katy Trail's flat, and I would
Yeah,
need
yeah.
something that was not like uphill both ways.
Yeah.
um,
I think it's like the closest thing to flying that we can do on the ground.
yeah, I love the feeling of biking, so I should definitely look into any sort of trail that I can do in like October.
Yeah, in the cooler months.
Let's talk about we're gonna end, by the way, with cat communication. I'm just giving you a preface now. I'll save the last like 7 minutes for cat communication. Um, but I was curious as far I don't I wanted to know more about your rock opera. That's why I'm shaking my head. I'm doing this because it's not exactly on your Wikipedia,
Mm.
but I'm curious about it. So, can you give us like the rundown? Like, if I was in Wikipedia, what I would be hearing from you?
Sure. Yeah, it's a double album. It's called Heterotopia. It's a
Mm-hmm.
double album. It's 100 minutes long. It's pretty long, and it's the story of a girl who loses her body and has to journey through this liminal space, this sort of dream world called other space. It's a world of the collective unconscious,
Okay.
and on a like a journey to get her body back.
Okay.
So that's the elevator pitch.
So, okay, you said it's a double album, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what, how did you start?
I started with the story.
Okay.
Yeah, the story was the most important thing when I first started out. Like, I kind of knew what I wanted to do with the music. I knew the music would come easily, but I really wanted to write a story that, like, I wanted to write a story that was so solid, like people would be able to study it and like get, like get something out of it, like a lot of um, connections and like meaningful symbology and I sort of it's my take on the hero's journey and yeah, a lot of it's about like under everything it's kind of about processing trauma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Where is it available on
On all streaming platforms.
under School Tree?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. I'll have to look at that up on the Spotify.
Yeah. And there's also an illustrated book.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Good for you. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah,
Um,
the whole idea with that was like for me to like finally fulfill my potential as sort of a lifelong underachiever and be like, all right, I need to leave something behind. Like I need to do the project that'll be like it's okay if I die after this kind of thing. I mean, not that that was my intention in any way, but it would be
right.
like, all right, something that I can like if I'm on my deathbed, I can be like, well, I did that and that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's oh my gosh. I need one of those. I'm gonna aim for one of those because of you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, let's let's sidetrack to oat milk and then we'll end on cat communication.
Oat milk was just filler. I was just like, what do I like? God, I don't fucking know. Oat milk, I
Well,
guess.
I've never had oat milk.
Oh, it's very good. It's the closest thing I've had to real milk that's not milk. It has like it has that sort of fatty richness to it.
Is it like eggnog?
No,
Not
it's
flavored,
like a
but like
non-dairy
texture.
milk. It's like a milk replacement. It's supposed to be similar to milk.
Okay. Let's sidetrack to oat milk. You used it wrong. It's add quote. That's really funny. Do you? There you go. Beautiful, wonderful. Love this. Love that for me.
Oat milk, baby.
Yeah. But yeah. So, I mean, this had to come around recently.
I feel like it's like in the last 10 years maybe, but maybe it's more even more recent than that.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like there's always the
1990.
fad milk, the fad non-dairy milk, like, almond milk was the big thing for a while, and like I want to say like macadamia nut milk and like stuff like that, like the
Yeah.
nut milks, and then the oat milk came along and
Yeah, because almond milk is thin, so I assume
yeah.
this is like a thicker texture.
It is a bit thicker. It depends on the brand that you get, but yeah, it's very milk-like. I mean, I haven't had like real milk in a very, very long
Yeah,
time, but
same. I don't drink milk. um, okay, invented in 1990.
oh, well,
That's interesting.
hippies.
Yeah, has its products in 7,000 coffee shops and grocery stores as of 2019. Oat milk.
Yeah, they have it at like Dunkin' Donuts now. So you know it's made it.
Wow.
Most of the coffee chains will have oat milk as an option. Better
Interesting.
than soy milk. Holy shit. When that was the only non-dairy option, man, those were dark
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Soy milk, like bean
Soy.
water.
Yeah. 2019 to 2020, oat milk sales increased 303%.
Yeah, there was a real supply issue because demand was so high and also like production issues.
Oatmeal sales increased 151%, with it becoming the second most consumed plant milk after almond milk. And then
No.
there's the world's largest oat milk manufacturer, publicly traded with NASDAQ Exchange. Man, I need to know where to put my money, and that's apparently in oat milk.
Oatly is very good.
All right, so let's end on cat communication. So we were talking earlier that we both have cats.
Yes.
And I'm curious if, yeah, cat communication is like totally on here. Um,
I checked and made sure.
oh,
I didn't want to be
wow.
like, oh, you know.
No,
Yeah.
I would have just typed in cats and we would have gone from there. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I saw a Netflix thing about cat communication, and it was like the life of cats or something along that line.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
recent, but it was talking about, can cats communicate? Um, do they experience love and affection? Do they actually
Hmm.
know what love is? It's pretty good. But that reminds me of the cat communication aspect of this. Why is this on your list? I think this is the most fascinating thing.
I think like, well, I really love like cat vocalizations. Like I love hearing them. I love doing them. I talk to my cat. Um I use both words and like I try to use her words.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm nailing the dialect, but yeah, I think that's one of the neatest things about cats. Apparently they don't really like without humans, they don't really talk that much necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But like they've sort of adapted to try to communicate like we do, even though they don't have the same equipment, so they can't exactly. But my cat definitely has like she has her formal greeting, then she has her more casual greeting. Like you only get the formal one like once or twice a day when she first sees you, and then like you know sometimes it's very clear what she wants. Sometimes it's clear she's in distress. She also has like particular like play sounds, like when she's ready to play, that sound very like ferocious. And if you didn't know her, you might be like, "This cat's in a bad mood," and it's like, no, she just wants to play.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah. Imagine having three cats with three completely different personalities.
I know.
There's a lot of talking.
Yeah, I bet.
They don't shut up. And
She's
so,
actually become more vocal, and it's you know it gets a bit much some days. She's like, I think it's because I talk to her all the time.
mm-hmm.
We've been living together for about 4 years. But yeah, she's become more and more like, hello.
Former cat greetings is my vaporwave mixtape. I think that's
Formal
supposed.
cat greetings.
Crystal doesn't get that cats don't really meow to communicate with each other. Absolutely. So Crystal will meow at the two other cats,
Oh,
and the other cats are like, I don't know what you're saying at all. Like, why
it's
are you
that's
talking like
funny, isn't
that?
it? Like I feel like there every now and then there's like a TikTok video that's like play this for your cat and your cat will react, and it's like my cat never gives a shit about any of those.
Oh,
She's like, I don't
I
care.
can go like, and I'm not gonna do it really loud, but I can be like, and like the cat's ears perk up, and they just like look
Nice.
at me. If I play something too loud on my phone, she comes in and starts meowing at me like viciously, and then Ruby sounds like a crow. Meow, meow. And you're just like, what is wrong with you? What other, do you have a specific animal that you think she sounds like? He, she, I don't know. What's your cat?
It's she,
She
yeah. Not really.
sounds like a cat. Cat sounds like a cat.
Yeah, she's just well, she's pretty like kind of raspy and loud on the raspy and loud side. She doesn't have like the sweet little meows. Like occasionally she will do like
Formica cow greetings. I don't know what that means, Shane
meow.
Davis, and welcome on in. Oh, former car greetings works well. Formica cow greetings. I get it. I get it. We're playing on words here.
Oh. What's up, Shave Jesus?
How you doing? Um, what about her purring?
Yeah.
She
She's
very
she's
vocal about her purring.
yes. She purrs when you feed her. She purrs sometimes when you pick her up. She has this we have a funny relationship with her where she like sort of resists affection and resists being picked up, but then like gives in and loves it.
Yeah.
So we sort of just force it on her and she's like, all right, fine, I'll purr and like, be into it.
Can you
Um
lift
sh
her up?
yeah.
Yeah.
She's a little one. She's about 8 pounds.
Aww.
Russian blue.
Yeah.
She's old. She's 16, but she's still pretty spry and playful and doing well.
That's good. The purring. Do you ever have your cat where you can go to reach for them and they go? Do you get that at all? Because two of my cats do that, where if they're purring and you get them to open their mouth, like just so you go like this, and they try to
Ah!
reach your nose, they go.
Oh no, she wouldn't let us touch her like that. She's very like she's like she was feral-ish,
Okay.
and so she's still kind of got that quality of like there's certain things that you're not allowed to do.
That's fair. Yeah, Keiko is a barn cat, so we can't lift
Yeah.
her up. But other than
Oh.
that, they're three cats that live together. I swear they could be a sitcom. Aw.
Strong boundaries.
Yeah, for real. Okay, cool. Well, this was super fun.
It is Gibson from Pan 9, check.
Why is it still original Gibson?
It was fun. I had a great time.
Yes. Hi, Pass Brad. Yeah, I've had an awesome
Pass
time. Talking about music was the highlight of my night. Just learning from you, and then also the fact of your ambitions. You're very ambitious, but I like how you said you're a long lifetime. What was the word you used? Not slacker, but like a lifetime like underachiever.
Oh, underachiever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I relate to that. Like so hard. But yeah, I mean, you are incredible. I hope you know that about yourself. You really are just totally incredible.
No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that maybe was on your list that was off your list that you thought of that you wanted to bring up, or do you think we've completed the Laney list very well?
I think we've completed it pretty well.
All right, excellent. Well, again, I hope you enjoyed this. I did.
This was really great. I think this is such a great way to interview people. It's sort of, just it's really clever idea and very well executed.
I'm very happy to hear you say that. All right, so we're gonna see if Davey is eating a sandwich is on, because he has a talk show as well that we like to raid into.
Nice.
He's doing Golf with Your Friends, but we are gonna raid into him anyway because he does a talk show, and it's important that y'all get to know him. So come see Davey's eating a sandwich. Follow him for the activities, and I'll be interviewing him later. I'll be interviewing him later in September 13th. However, next week, Delta Crab Music.
Oh.
So stick around. Next Wednesday, Delta Crab Music is going to be on this channel. And we're going to talk about a lot of good things. So thank you again, Laney. Thank you again, crowd.
Thank you.
Let's go raid Davey's eating a sandwich. Bye.